This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Serenity Cards and Coaching. My name is Lela, and you can find me at lelamonkey.com. And today we are in the third week of the month, and so that's when I do my technique series. And so this is the third in a series. We're doing pop-up cards, and I love the outside of these cards, but wait till we see the inside of these cards. And so I'm gonna save these couple for later as additional samples that are actually part of the class. But we're gonna look at this guy today, and this is the one we're gonna make. And so let's open it and do the reveal. This is week 3 in the pop-up series, and we are doing birthday pop-ups. So, but I'm going to show you how you can modify this for springtime for Easter. So, are you ready for it? Ba, ba, ba. So what we're learning today, I see claps. Thank you. We're on Zoom too and recording for YouTube. This is a double floating pop-up card. And so with butterflies, I thought that's a great theme for springtime, a great theme for Easter. Of course, our technique series is focused on birthdays, so that this is a birthday card, but we're gonna make this card today. And so I offer this class in person, I offer this class to go, and I offer the PDF, and then you also get the free instructions here. So what we're doing is we're working our way through my first ever technique series. We've got 4 and we're in the 3rd week. So we did a single pop-up, we did a double pop-up, a triple pop-up, and now we're doing the double floating. And so for those that care to, you can use our Memories and More book and you can follow along, and I've got printed instructions and the place to kind of put your samples. And so this is today's, I won't make you read this small print, but I've got the PDFs already with just, you can make a little model and a little prototype. And so let's get to it and I'll show you how to make it. Now, if you want the PDF, you can get it a couple different ways. You can look at the link below on YouTube and you can just buy the PDF, or you can get the kit to go and the PDF comes with it. Or if you're on my team, you get the PDF for free. So these are what the PDFs look like before we've gotten into doing any of the cutting to fit them into the book. And I'm going to follow along with them. And these are all the ingredients that we need right here. In the kit, I actually cut and die cut all of these things for you. I can't stamp for you, but I do cut and die cut. So following along, and if you want to take a screenshot, if you're not going to get the PDF, you're going to cut the card base from cardstock at 8.5 by 5.5, and you're going to score. So there's 2 1/8 inch gate on each side. So let me show you how I did that. So this is your 5.5 by 8.5. And then I scored, rather than scoring in half like we do, with normal cards like this, rather than scoring in half, I've scored at the 2 1/8 inch line. So I did 2 1/8 inch there, and then I turned it around and I did 2 1/8 inch there. 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8 is 4 1/4, right? So this is going to fit into our envelope. So we've got a gate card. The one we're making today, I'm not going to do the belly band, but you guys know how to do a belly band, and instructions are actually included. So we've got the base, that's the first thing, and we've got it scored. Now we're going to cut 2 strips from coordinating cardstock. We're going to cut them at 1 inch by 5 3/8 inch. And so these are your 2 strips cut to 1 inch by 5 3/8 inch. Now I've already scored them and adhered the adhesive, but those are 2 strips that we're going to need, and you're going to score them at the 1 inch, the 3 3/8 inch, and the 4 3/8 inch marks, which is what I did. So I took it onto my scoreboard, I scored it at 1 inch, 3 3/8, 4 3/8. Then in the instructions I rotated one of the strips as shown. So right here, I've got the floating base for the top left side. and the floating base for the bottom right. And you can see that where that's the 1 inch, I've got that score mark there. And then I rotated it over here so that the 1 inch is on the right side over here. And you'll see why we're going to do that. We're adhering this to the left side. We're adhering this to the right side. And then these little blue marks are little tape marks. So I just put, so you can see I just did exactly that. I've got my 1 inch right there. And then I've got my kind of 2 score marks over here. So I've got my tape right there. And then I rotated this guy. So my 1 inch is right there. And then my other tape is over there. So I've done my preparation of my base. And now I'm going to cut these sizes to decorate the inside, the front of the gates. And there are cut marks in here for the belly band. But basically for the front of the card, you're going to cut, inside first. Let me do the inside and then let me do the front. So the inside, I quite love the inside. Do you guys know a Wash and Beauty? That's the product I'm using here. That's the designer series paper I'm using and some of the dyes that I'm using. And I haven't had a chance to, I've had this dye since they came out in the annual catalog. I haven't had a chance to use this grid dye and I just love it. And I really thought it added a nice touch in the background right there. So if you can see, I've got some designer series paper, just a little lighter pink in the back. I've cut that to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have another layer that kind of embeds nicely on it. So the cutting instructions refer to those two. And when you get it in your kit, it's going to be a little messy-bessy. You can do what you want with it. This is probably one of the messiest parts of it. You can just punch out all the little triangles and throw them away, but I really, really loved that look right there. I just really thought it added a nice touch. So we are going to take some time and get that glued in today. But anyway, that's the inside of the card. You can't really see it. It's just a nice touch behind it. And so that's what we've got the inside decorated. So we've cut those out. And then for the front, I'll show you that. We're going to cut, it's a gatefold, right? So what I did was I cut this distressed gold at 4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut it in half, so it's 2 by 5 1/4, 2 by 5 1/4, and then I took it in, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, just because I think this is so delicate. So I took it in instead of 4, that would be like 3 7/8, I guess. So I took it in just a little fraction. And then I cut that in half as well. So that's just going to be the front. It's a gatefold. That's going to be the front of our gate. And so this is 2 1/8, right? It's half of 4 1/4. So you're just going to have layers right there for that. So I've got my front pieces, and I've also still got instructions for the rest of the cutting. So that's the front. Then I've got belly band here. I'm actually not going to go over that other than just to say I always cut my belly band at 9 3/4 by 1 1/4. I scored at 3. I cut designer series paper at 1 by 4. So I'll show you some of those completed, but it's just a belly band. So that's that guy. Now let's take a look at the next things we want to do. All right, we'll save the inside pieces for later. So now we've got a lot of the pieces in place, and I'm going to pause because you guys are on Zoom. I know I'm going over this kind of quickly. Any questions so far? This is really just the cutting and scoring. So any questions so far? I'm going to take a look. I don't see any questions. All righty, very good. All right, so we're going to decorate the inside, and this is where it's going to get a little messy, but I'm going to kind of, oh, Valerie came. Hi, Valerie. I'm going to kind of put those little bits off to the side, and I'm just going to use my favorite adhesive, which is glue. I'm going to show you a trick today. One of the pieces, I'm actually going to double adhesive it. But anyway, I'm lining the inside because you really do see the background. Now, this cardstock is polished pink, and you guys, to my knowledge, polished pink is going to retire because it's a current in color. And it's been around for a couple of years, and typically the in colors retire. So I've been using as much polished pink as I possibly can in the event it goes away. with that said, we're having a color refresh, and so maybe it'll come back. But I love polished pink, and I'm using it. So you can see that in the die cut, some of the little triangles are remaining, or what are those rhombuses are remaining. So I'm just going to start with those. It's a little fussy, but it's so pretty, and I love the look of it. Now, I could have, and I didn't, and I won't because I don't have any more, and I'm not exactly sure how it would behave. I could have put Sizzix adhesive sheets on the back of this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do the thinnest layer of glue, and a lot of this is going to be covered up and not seen anyway, but I'm just going to do the lightest little bit of spreading of glue. And I'm not even worried that I'm getting it super secure. It's going to be behind everything, so it's not really at risk of moving around. Hopefully those little bits stay in place, and they are. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere that in place. Now, when you get this die cut, I cut it at 4 inches. So you'll see part of it has a frame and part of it doesn't. Really, it's just intended to be a little distressed look behind the scenes. I wanted to maximize, I did it at 4 inches so I could maximize the number of cuts out of the distressed gold. If you were going to do it for real for you and you had the die, you might go a little wider when using the die. So, so I've got just those few there. And just for demonstration purposes, I'll just tell you, like, I know my square is going to go there and my square is going to go there. There's going to be a couple visible in the middle. So I'm just going to put a couple in the middle right there. I'm hoping to goodness they fit. I'm pretty sure they're pretty standard. Yeah. So there you go. So if you get your kit and you don't want to add these, then you know that's an option. You can just not add them, but I just love the little touch. So we're just going to take a quiet moment. You know, the reason I go by Serenity stamping is I get so serene when I do this. Like when I'm just sitting here doing it myself, I just kind of get in the zone and I just kind of get quiet and I color and I place, and sometimes I pray for the person I'm making a card for, but I just get really quiet in the zone. So there it is. That's it, you guys. I'm going to throw the rest of these little guys away, but that's just a little bit of paper piecing. And I'm going to give it a good burnish because we're still going to carry on with decorating the inside. Now, on the other cards that I'm going to show you, it's a whole lot easier. You don't have to build such quite an elaborate background. But now let's get back to it. So in the instructions, decorate the inside first by adding the coordinating cardstock and designer series paper. Now it's time to add the floating bases. So in the picture here, we've added the designer series paper, and now we're going to add the floating bases. And so we know that the first one we have is this guy with the tape on the left. And so we're going to go ahead and add it. And I almost wish I would have done this in a different color, but it wouldn't coordinate, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish everything really well because we want this to have a very, very, very good fold. We want it, we want the paper cracked on all the edges so that it's got to bend and flex and move and go around a number of different ways. Now, I have in the instructions shown you the way that the floating base is going to look. It's going to be, here's like a side view of it. The floating base is going to look like this in the card. So it's going to look like this. So let's get to the state where we get it there. So it says, go ahead and adhere side A to the top left gatefold, adhesive side down. So I'm going to put it right here if you can see it. And before I do it, I'm going to also add a little bit of glue, and I'll tell you why. Well, no, that's adhering really, really well. I'm not. Especially when I get to the motorcycle card, which has a really, really shiny paper, I'm actually doubling up on the adhesive. This one's fine. It's paper to paper, and it's very, very secure. I use some specialty paper on the motorcycle card, and I'm doubling up. I'm using the tape to make sure it places where I want it, and then I doubled up with glue on it. But anyway, that's fine. So now you can see I've got my first side down, and I've got it so that I'm not in the way of the crease. So you can see I'm right before the crease right there. Now the instructions say fold the right side of the strip completely under so that the middle fold line is not visible. Close the gate and adhere side B, tape side down. So fold it so that the middle line is not visible. Take the adhesive off and close the gate. So fold it so I can't see that line, take the adhesive off, close the gate, and give a good burnish. Now, because I am adhering that to some specialty paper underneath, maybe I should have added a little bit of glue too, but it'll probably be just fine. I'm going to burnish the dickens out of it. And then now we've got our floating base. I'm going to come back the other way and make sure that it really will go back and forth both ways. Now, one time I did this and I realized that I cut this, like this needs to be an inch and this needs to be an inch. And if it's not, if it's even 1/8 of an inch off, it's not going to fold right. So sometimes you can kind of monkey with it and like burnish and score and it'll lay just right. Sometimes you just have this strip wrong and you've got to do it. But when you get my kits, I cut and score these for you. And I'm pretty careful, although I'm human. So, so that is the first side. That's the floating base. That's it. Now we're going to do the left side. Now, I wanted to do, oh my gosh, I thought, oh, let me get creative. So anyway, just follow the instructions because it doesn't matter what I did. I made a boo-boo and then it like, I put one layer higher and one layer lower. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this cool diorama thing. Well, no, they have to kind of be the same height. So, if you're going to have a continuous piece all the way. Anyway, it was just ridiculous. So the first few times, just follow instructions and just do it. And then once you have a sense of it, then go ahead and play. And if you want to adjust it or whatever, just know that you might have a learning curve. Oh my goodness. Lots of learning here. All right. So I've taken the second piece and now I've got my 1 inch on the right and I've got my 2 folds over there. So 1 inch on the right and my 2 folds over there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to adhere the 1 inch side first and I'm going to adhere it to the right wall. And I'm just eyeballing it. Now, what's going on this shelf, if you will, I'm calling that a shelf, is like a 2 1/4 inch by a 2 1/4 inch square. So you just want to have enough room that when you center it, there's enough room. And then there's enough room for those two to kind of wiggle back and forth. I'm just eyeballing it. So I'm going to come down here and I know, and anyway, you have some flexibility when you put the square on the shelf too. But I'm going to come down here and I'm putting this now on the right side and I'm making sure that I'm not going over the crease. So I've got the right side on the wall right there. And then the same thing. It's the exact same principle. I'm going to fold it so that I can't see. I'm going to fold it so I can't see this guy, but I am going to take the adhesive off. So I'm going to fold it under, and then I'm going to, I'll keep that side open. I'm going to fold my gate over like that, and I'm going to give it a good burnish. And then I'm going to come back over here and just test it that way, and it's working that way, and I'm just kind of giving a good crease both ways. And now I'm just going to open and shut a few times and it's working. All right, so let me pause to see if there's any questions before I go to the next step. I'm not seeing
I have
any.
a quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry about this. I was just handed dinner. If I stop my video, it won't stop your video. I just don't want to eat on video.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Bye. That's good. Thanks for checking. All right. So, but that will be recorded on the video. That's okay. It's fine. All right. Now where are we? So any other questions about the how-to with the card, by the way? Nope. All right. Repeat, but in reverse. So we've adhered side C and D. So hopefully these pictures are helpful. You can see we adhered it there, adhered it there, adhered it there, adhered it there, and you can kind of see the side view, right? So now, once the floating bases are in place, which they are, you now have a floating surface and you could add your decorative elements. And so in the instructions I say, I used a 2 1/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch square and I built from there. But once you're comfortable with the movement, you can play around. Now, I could have done 2 different heights that day that I was playing, but I was trying to do like a diorama. It was ridiculous anyway. It was a ridiculous idea, but I was trying to do this diorama and I had one higher and one lower and you could see the squares under it. It was ridiculous, but you can play, right? So you can make a higher and a lower. You can add multiples once you get the basics, but make a few first. All right, so we've got that, and now we can build and we can add. So I've taken the liberty to decorate a little bit. So I've got 2 1/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch squares, and they're going to fit quite nicely on the shelf. And if I had put them too close together, then all I would need to do is just not center the square, right? But I did the right amount, so I can center the square and that'll be fine. So I'm going to place them right there. I'm going to place them a little bit closer to the edge, like the inside edge, if you will, this edge, a little bit closer, so that it really pops out at you. So I'm going to adhere those. I put blue for the sky and green for the grass, if that's, if you're wondering kind of about my color scheme. And then I've got a butterfly in the air. These are the Brilliant Butterflies. Love these dies. They come with the delicate detailed die, and then they also kind of come with the silhouette. This is a specialty vellum that we have, so I'm using that. That comes in the kit. So I'll adhere those two simply with a little bit of glue. And my butterfly is going to go in the sky, and he's going to, you know, just represent transformation and growth and spring and growing. And then I did do some die cuts in the lower left. Now these are from the Awash and Beauty dies. And so I did put some in the, I put some in the lower right. So let's just kind of build out my little base right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue my squares on. And I don't need to use a lot of adhesive. These aren't going anywhere. So I like to use glue. I like to make it really, really sturdy, but this isn't the part that moves a lot. These are the pieces that move a lot. So let me kind of get those glued, and then to burnish and to make sure I'm getting the movement I want, I'm going to go ahead and close it, and I'm going to give a good burnishment. Burnishing, I don't know. That's a good question. All right. And now it got a little bit crooked. So there we have it. So there. So now to go ahead and kind of build my butterfly, I'm just going to use a little bit of this. This paper, by the way, is the distressed gold paper. I love this paper. So I'm using it here. I'm using it here. I'm using it on the front. It was out of stock. It came back. I'm so excited. I love, love, love this paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that. And then I'm actually, because this has so much kind of height and depth anyway, I'm going to use little mini dimensionals, because I like height and depth, and this is not going to take a standard postage stamp anyway. So I'm actually going to put this on dimensionals, and it'll be fine. We shut it with a belly band. So I'm putting little dimensionals on the back of my vellum. And I'm going to go ahead and put my little butterfly right there. Super sweet little guy. And I want him on a little bit of an angle. just to make him look like he's flying. And I'm always going to test my, like I don't want the wings too far over or too far up and out. So I'm always going to test and make sure of my placement. So I've got that. And I'm actually, have you guys seen these? I love these and I haven't used them enough. Can't believe things are starting, they're going to retire soon. But these are the pastel adhesive back sequins. Just look how happy these are. There's gold and a pink and a turquoise, and they just match exactly what we're doing here. So I'm going to use the gold, and I'm just going to put, I always like to put just a little butterfly head. So I'm just going to put a little butterfly head. Sometimes I might put like a couple little things on the tips of the wings or whatever, but I'm just going to give him a little bit of interest right there, and that's good. So now for the inside, I just kind of made it like a flowering plant. Now, Sister Doris shared with us yesterday that if you wanted to make this an Easter card, the Daffodil Daydream, if you guys got that, that's got Easter blessings, and it fits perfectly on the die that I'm using right here. So you could use Easter blessings. You could use Happy Birthday from Peaceful Moments if you have that. If you have the True Beauty, you could use Here For You Always or With Love. And then I love this Happy Birthday. This is the very best occasions Happy Birthday. So just pick a sentiment. We'll go ahead and go with the Happy Easter right now. And I just kind of, I'm building like a little plant scene out of it, if you will, pretending it's like a little planter. And I'm just going to kind of cut. So this is from the Awash and Beauty dies. I'm just going to cut these, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on them so that they go in the background. I probably should be using my silicone mat, but I'll just go ahead and kind of add those there. And sweet. All right. Now I hope that it fits, because you know what? I did it a different direction. So let's see. I hope it's not too wide. Yeah, sweet. Perfect. All right. So same thing. I'm going to put these guys on dimensionals. I think I'm going to use the bigger one for this. I'm going to put this on dimensionals. And then I've got a couple little gems to decorate that little gold. I don't know, there must be a word for that. But anyway, the little gold decoration. Now I see here, there's like a little green. I might would have snipped that off, but that's okay. Purpose of television. So the way I did it here, I had like a little bit of height and a little bit of shorter, and I had it facing a different way. I am going to add a couple different gems. I'm going to add some blue just to kind of pull in the blue from above. And I'll just add 3 of them. And then our sweet inside is decorated. And I hope you guys, like when I first saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to learn that? How am I going to teach that? But I hope you guys like really try it. It's just paper and it's just folds. So let me get one more sequin. Let me do some housekeeping here because I got a big mess here now. And then let me decorate the front, and then I'll show you the other cards that we've got. So, so when you order, you can, so I've just opened up to in-person classes. So if you're here in Roseville, you could come to this class in person. If you want a to-go kit, I offer this to go. And it comes with all the PDFs and everything. Okay, see that? I don't necessarily love that that's rubbing like that. So, so I might would have put that a little, like if it were me, I probably would have I'll lift this up and I'll take it lower. I'll do that off screen, but you want to pay attention to little fiddlies like that when you're building it out. Yeah, so if you get the kit from me, I take the time to do all this die cutting and give you all the ingredients, because I make kits that I would want to get, and I would want to get all the goodness. So that's the inside. I'm going to lift that up and pull him down just a little bit more, and I can do it. You guys want to watch? I'll do it. I do this kind of thing all the time. I just kind of come in here. Oh, and then I can fix my green thing too. So it may not be a pretty process, but it can be done. I just very carefully lift it up. And then now that I'm here, I can snip off that extra green that was bugging me a little bit. It's fine, nobody's gonna notice, but I noticed and I care. I could either add new dimensionals. I'm just gonna put some glue on the back of these. They still look pretty robust. And I'm gonna come down and bring it down a little bit like that, making sure that he's not too far over that way, and shutting it and burnishing it. Now I'm decorating my front last because I'm doing a whole lot of burnishing and I don't want to be rubbing my my designer series paper. So get your little fiddly bits in place, which is what we like to do, and then that's good. Now let's do the front, and the front is pretty easy at this point. So I've got my distressed gold and my designer series paper, and my distressed gold and my designer series paper, and these do, because I cut them in half, they do go together. So those two flowers go together right there. And then I've got another sentiment that I can add. So let me go ahead and add the gold first. And then I'll add the designer series paper. And then I'll show you that I put Wink of Stella on the flowers. And so it just added just that little bit more beauty. So I'll go ahead and get that on. Super pretty. I love, so these were cut at 2 1/8 inch. I love working with 1/8 of an inch. With like delicate papers like this, I just think 1/8 of an inch is really pretty. But 1/4 inch is fine too, and it's a whole lot easier. And actually this one's a little bit of a mix, but anyway, so that's the distressed gold, which I love. And now we want to make sure we've got the designer series paper. If I were making a bunch of these, I would honestly production line them up and kind of do like a couple steps at a time and then go do the next couple steps at a time. But all right, so I've got that and I've got that. So pretty. So let's go ahead and stamp a sentiment for the front. And then the ribbon that I'm using the ribbon, it's Old Olive. It's from this pack. It comes with like Sahara Sand and Old Olive twill ribbon combo pack. So I will give you enough Old Olive ribbon to tie around it. And we will go ahead and stamp a sentiment. So if we've got Easter blessings on the inside, then maybe we'll just put with love on the outside. So we'll just do a teeny tiny simple with love. Super sweet. We're going to use that polished pink, which I'm hoping comes back, but there's no guarantee about any of that. So I'm using it as much as I can. Oh, Lynn, we were talking about Blushing Bride the other day. This was a good use of Blushing Bride, I thought. It's perfectly placed here. So, all right, so we've got our teeny tiny with love. I can add some of my sweet pink embellishments right on here. And then I can decide whether I'm going to dimensional this guy or not. I think I am going to dimensional him. And then that's our sweet card. So any questions? Oh, we tied the ribbon around it. Any questions while I do that before I show you the next couple cards? And you can just place that wherever. Now, how I did it was I put the sentiment in the upper corner. And then I wanted the ribbon, of course it's green like grass, so I was emulating the green grass below. And then I would Wink of Stella, you know, some of the main flowers. But how I did the ribbon, I did it long enough so that I kind of started here. I come around this way, I come around this way. I tie it in the middle so that I know my edges are going to be even on both sides. And then I move it to the left because I don't want it in the middle. So I'm going to do my bow right there. And then when I've got it how I like it, then I kind of put that kind of off to the left. And there's our sweet card, you guys. So
It is
let
so
me
Really
open it
beautiful.
cute.
up. Do you
So
like it?
pretty.
Beautiful.
Yay! Alrighty, so that was
Beautiful.
that guy. Let me show you the other two if there's no questions on these. So we've got the motorcycle, and this is with the belly band. So that was 9 3/4, and then scored at 3 inch. And then you kind of wrap it around and build it, and then you put a 1x4 designer series paper on it. This is also the motorcycle designer series paper. It's got some black twine. I just fussy cut that, and then wait for it. Oh, and that's silver foil, and then just a nice masculine embossing folder that comes with the motorcycle set. And then right on, it's your birthday.
Cool.
So I kind of made it like it was a little toolbox, and so you guys get those couple little die cuts and get these gems. Now with this, I used the specialty paper right there just because I really thought that was kind of a nice touch. That's where I'm going to really recommend you really have very, very solid adhesive. So I used the Terran tape, and that helped kind of grip to this paper exactly where I wanted it. But I also used glue to really, really cement that in. But that's that, guys. So that is that's your masculine birthday card. And then I love this one. This is the one I made first months ago. So this is kind of your By the Bay designer series paper. Every front is going to be different, so it's all going to have just different patterns, mix and match. But you'll get the tags. Look at these pearls. Do these just not look like real pearls coming out of the ocean? And this luscious ribbon. And then wait for it. We open it up, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. And happy birthday with room for a little signature. And then wait for it. You are a pearl.
I
We're
like that.
precious. Is that so sweet?
Special with a
Aww.
pearl in the oyster.
So sweet. So you guys, and it's all the same instructions. So you can go to lelamikey.com for more information. And if you want to get this kit, I'm still offering them right now for the next week. And if you're in Roseville and you want to come to class, come to class. So, alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and come back to you guys.